A few weeks ago, I purchased and tried the Eachine Mustang P51D, which you can see here, and I really liked it, so I was eager to try another one, and I purchased this one, which is the T-28, and the box system was similar, like the Mustang P51D. And here's the T-28, and to me at least, this is like one of the most perfect tiny micro RC airplanes there are right now, because first of all, I mean, they look good, they do, but they fly so great. It's, you know, I've fly them in the mid mode, and you know, they are so level, so smooth, you know, and still agile. You can make tight turns, and you have both speed, and you can go quite slow. And it's like when I don't use the, you know, the stock remote that much, which is this one. I opted to use my Jumper T16 Pro, and I set it up, you know, with dual rates and expo, and it's you know, you become one with the remote and the airplane. So there's no, you know, like you do use the sticks and it doesn't happen, or you know, the input, you know, doesn't reflect what you see in the air. So I think it's a great combination having this one and the Jumper T16 Pro. And I think the quality of this one is also really nice. The foam is nice, and the wings are enforced with these carbon rods, and they are quite, you know, good thickness to the Epo foam material. The prop is just like on the Mustang. It's, you know, the prop saver, so it does pop off. What I've done, I've put some tape on the center of this prop just to make it easier to find this one, because the most difficult thing is actually to find the prop if it does pop off, and if it, you know, there are leaves or other things on the ground. So I made that like a precaution, so I will find the prop easier, because I don't think you will ever really break the prop. It just pops off, and I mean, I guess this one has just popped off like 10 or 20 times, and there are no marks on it. It just works great. And there is a, you know, a brushed motor inside with gearbox, so it's a great way to save the prop. I wish, you know, more would do something like this. And then, you know, it comes like this, which is great. It uses, you know, the same battery, so the battery hatches, you know, on the front part. You can put landing gears, but I think this is, you know, more like a hand launcher, and it's quite easy to land it. I mean, I just go down and kill the throttle, and you know, it just goes to the ground. And it's so lightweight, so probably it won't, you know, be any scuff marks. Of course, I mean, the servo on the bottom, I wouldn't recommend to land this one on the pavement or on the concrete or asphalt. So I mean, I try to have some sort of smooth surface for this one. And I mean, overall, I mean, I guess the stock remote does work. I've tried it, but I didn't like it that much. And you know, it does have this the same thing as on the Mustang. It does have like an aerobatic button to the left, where you can press this one even in beginner mode and make a stick input, and the airplane will do some sort of aerobatics. But you know, I prefer to use the T16 Pro, Jumper T16 Pro, as you know, I really like the gimbals on this one, and it does feel great to hold. Enough talk then. So I'll show you a video I did the other day with this one. At the same location where I flew the Mustang P51D, I had the same task. I said to myself, I will keep this one in the air as long as possible, and let's just look at the video. Here I am at the same location as I flew the Eachine Mustang P51D, and it's quite interesting. I have a lot of trees, and it does provide a bit of a challenge to navigate. So over here I have open space where I can gain some altitude, and when I return I have to drop the altitude, and then just go past this bush, and then return to the high altitude part of this course. There was a bit of wind this day, not really something that I had to be concerned with, but sometimes it did influence the T-28. So to me at least, this looks really nice when it flies. More like floating through the air. And when you actually, do a down elevator stick input, there's a smooth down input, so the feeling of flying this one is excellent. The fact that this one is also so inexpensive, and you get RTF kit with 2 or 3 batteries, to me at least, this is like the benchmark that the other micro airplanes really has to beat. And I also think it's a good choice having these warbirds, because warbirds, they are interesting to look at and quite fun to fly. So I'm doing more or less the same path each turn. My aim here is to have a nice right turn and then gain some altitude, making a smooth left turn, and then drop altitude to go quite low, make a tighter turn, and avoid the bush, and then go back into a right turn again. The most difficult thing about flying this path over and over again is actually to keep the concentration, because after a while you do get tired. Then again, I think it's a nice test for anyone to see just how long can you actually fly this one, how does it handle both right and left turns. How does this is all in the mid mode, so how is the banking limit, the angle, and as you can see, I'm sometimes when I return it's quite low also, almost blowing leaves. And I know it's a bit difficult over here to actually see the airplane, because it does get masked by all the leaves and the trees. And the colors, they are really, it's quite difficult to actually see when you have them as a backdrop. When you go over here and you have the clouds and the sky, it's really easy to see. It also helps that this one, if you do crash or go into the ground, especially when you have, like here, you have grass and leaves, you're not going to damage the aircraft to any extent, really. Maybe, I don't think you would end up damaging anything or will show anything, really. But that makes it you can actually, play with it. So if I had a lot of poles and concrete or asphalt underneath, I wouldn't be as tempted to go low as I do here. So under the branch, return and make the right turn. In tight turns is no problem. Just use aileron and rudder and it will turn. And in this mid mode it's quite difficult to actually have this thing to stall. So I don't expect this one to have, fly like a trainer, because it's not. It does require a bit of speed to fly. Although when I return here, I think the glide path is really nice. I reduce the throttle to almost 0 to drop altitude and speed. So I pick up speed here, and when I'm at the highest point, I actually reduce throttle. And this one is also really tiny, so when I fly away from where I stand, I wouldn't like to go further away, because it's kind of pointless. If I only see like a dot in the sky, I don't know what the point is to fly it. So to have like this, I'm standing not in the middle of the course, but I'm standing about halfway. I have actually on each turn I have two like close encounters with the airplane. So it is more fun to fly when you standing on one of the long sides of the place you fly. And I'm really don't like to fly behind my back or to turn myself more than 45-50 degrees to each side. And just look at it. I mean, it's so level and smooth, and I suppose it does help when I use the Jumper T16 Pro, because the gimbals are much more sensitive than the stock remote. Although I think, if you're not used to having a good transmitter, I think the included remote will work just fine. So I'm doing this, flying path all over again and again. And it's quite meditative also, and I like it. I don't have an urge to just do too many crazy things. I think it's enough to navigate through this, interesting kind of turns I have to do to avoid the trees and bushes and whatnot. And looking at the paint job or the sticker mode on this one, I think the red really enhances the way you see the airplane, and any airplane with red wing tips and red details, to me at least, look really nice. And the flight characteristics, they are extremely similar to the Mustang P51D from Eachine. They are almost identical. Just the way they differ in how they look. And to me at least, it's difficult to choose. I don't know if should I keep like the Mustang P51D, or should I keep the T-28. To me, I think they are so inexpensive and quite small to store, so I will keep them both. As they use the same batteries and I guess the same prop saver system. I can actually use props on either plane, although I think the spinner on this one will look a little bit odd. And what I also noticed with the Mustang is this one is really quiet. So even when you pick up speed, It's more like a low pitched noise. So all in all, I mean, the speed is there, and it does pick up speed really nice. So I'm having a difficult time to actually find anything wrong with this one. Of course, it would be excellent to have, like wing navigation lights, have a green and red light, but is it needed? No, it's not. This is more like a casual flyer, which you can fly almost anywhere, and it's so the box is quite tiny, and it does store well with everything. The airplane already assembled. You don't have to just pick it up out of the box, put in the battery, and turn on the transmitter, and you're ready to go. And comparing this one to the Horizon Hobby T-28, which I also have, they are similar in size. They both use a brushed motor. They both have a battery that is one cell, although this one uses, I think, is it 300 milliamp, and the Horizon Hobby T-28 uses 150. The stock battery is 150, but I fly that one on 220 milliamp. So I would say that this one flies much easier than the Horizon Hobby T-28. Although I really like to fly the Horizon Hobby T-28 also. Actually, I think this one flies much smoother. And it's easier to, when you just pick up speed, the airplane does go straight. With the Horizon Hobby T-28, I had to put a counterweight in the front to keep the nose down, because it is kind of tail heavy. Well, this one and the Mustang P51D from Eachine, they feel perfectly balanced out of the box, which they should be, because you cannot put the battery in another position, and it's very difficult to actually fit a larger or smaller battery inside. So I think, this is like the pinnacle of micro RC airplanes, and I would love for each Eachine to actually make more in this size, and maybe go up to the like 600 and 700 millimeter size also, because I think that would be excellent flyers. So I think we've flown for like 14 minutes now, and let's see how much juice I have left. I suppose this one will in some sort of turn just don't have enough power, and will have a mild crash, or just drop out of the sky. Okay, so that was the end of that flight. Good one.